Like, no, but it's understanding
Like
the world
what,
I'm in though. Like, I'll get pulled over in the car,
Oh,
like
one
for
of those.
speeding, and I know for a fact I should be getting some points here. Like, I'm sitting there thinking, fuck. I've got my 2 friends in the car, both black. I'm thinking, yo, Kwesi was there. Me and Kwesi jumped out of my car and ran over to the police. Like, I was like, I'm not even waiting for them to come to me. I ran over and was like, yo, officer, I just need to shit, man. I was going at 70 miles an hour on the opposite side of the road at 4 a.m. and I drove straight past police at 70 miles an hour. And they pulled me and I was like, I need to shit, man.
That's disgusting laughing. That's disgusting. Okay, cool. I'll speak then, yeah?
Since the fucking beginning.
Yeah.
Since the beginning.
Terrorism's been going on for like ages. White people can be terrorists as much as black people can be terrorists. It doesn't really matter. Brown people can be terrorists. But it's just the fact that when a Muslim person is a terrorist and they do it in like a militant way, that's what gets all the attention.
They've been doing this for years.
From the start of mankind.
Yeah, like, you know, I remember the only one that I properly really remember on the news was the shooting that happened in the school in America, I believe. There was a white, you know what I'm on about, innit?
Yeah, that's every week.
It was like in Chicago, I don't know where it was, but I think he got...
Sandy Hook.
Yes, there we go. And they was like, he's a bit mentally, But then when you think about it, like, there's a lot of other, like, terrorist stuff that happens, which are, like, either Muslims or black people, and they get different connotate. Like, one will be labelled as a bad one, and then
I think that's
illness.
the next. I'm gonna wait for her to do that one, but I think at the end of the day, when this news broke from the New Zealand thing, I was awake in it when this was going off. So it was like, what, 4:30 or something in the morning. News is just on my TV and I see it. And the first thing on the Daily Mail, when I go on the Daily Mail, it did say terrorist. They called him a terrorist. And I was like, rah. I even said to myself, rah, this is the first time I've seen a white man be called a terrorist. Shit.
Yeah.
You're trying to get me with my HUPU. I don't want them to come after me, to be honest. Government, if you're seeing this, I'm just a young gentleman with an opinion. Please let me live. White people have been carrying out terrorism for probably since the dawn of time.
Mate.
Like, really and truly. I don't like the statement or the header, and this is no problem with you guys, but I don't like the statement or the header, white terrorism, because
it's just terrorism.
No, not white terrorism, the rise of white terrorism.
It's been around.
Because white terrorism, they're like, the Crusades are terrorism.
Slavery.
Slavery is definitely terrorism, yeah. I feel like every major world war was mainly led by white people. That's kind of terrorism. Like, if you don't want to be involved in the war, but you get dragged into the war, that's terrorism. Like, so, like, where's the rise of white terrorism?
It's not a rise.
Time ago.
So they make it seem like that they're the only people who can be terrorists.
Yeah.
But that's not the case. Obviously, if you start naming people and saying, okay, look, this person shot up this amount of people, they shot up a school, they are a terrorist. It doesn't matter if they're black, white, Asian, anything in between. Then obviously it's going to be more like pronounced.
Yeah.
But if you're making it seem like it's just brown people,
yeah,
that's what people are going to see.
100%. I think there's been numerous acts of terror that have been displayed by white people. Even the numerous number of school shootings that you've seen as well, that's acts of terror.
They're the terrorist attacks.
Raoul Moat was an act of terror, if you ask me, of when he killed those policemen and was just acting mad with his strally. I shouldn't say the word strally because it's a serious situation. Yeah, I feel like there's constantly been bare wild acts of terror from white people, but again, it's because I think with terrorism, I had to actually look online for the dictionary definition of what it was, and it's because at the end of it, they said that it pushes a political agenda. If you're pushing a political agenda, that's the reason how they will define it as terrorism. With some people, with cases like Raoul Moat or with those kids, they may not try to see it as a political agenda rather than just someone who has mental health issues. That's what they'll try and justify it as. Whereas if a brown or black person wants to do it, then they'll see it as that there's an agenda behind it.
They're coming to it now. But then in the morning when I woke up and refreshed it, it's this charming white guy that is killed. But, you know, I think, obviously, the question, obviously, how long has terrorism gone on for? You're going back to what? You can go back forever. But in this country, you can go back to what? The 60s, the 70s, the 80s, 90s. IRA, obviously, it was one of the biggest terrorist organizations this country's ever seen. Obviously, Irish white people. So, yeah, I mean, it's gone on for centuries. And it's not going to stop now. It will continue. But we just need to call them terrorists.
Yeah.
If anything, yeah, the only kind of terrorism that arrived is non-white terrorism. Like, that is the new wave. Like, really and truly.
That's true.
Yeah, white people be wilding, man.
Yeah, but you know, once it's white, it's right. So.
Shout outs to my white friends, though. I love you still.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, white people get away with murder. No pun intended. Like, they literally get away with it. They really, really do get away with it. I think it's just ignorant as well. Ignorance of the journalists, of where they actually don't know what terrorism actually means or what the act of a terrorist is.
I mean, I feel like they know, but I feel like whoever you get right, like we have to go back to like who's in the newsrooms and like who's writing all these things.
Yeah, of course.
If we know that the majority of the people in the newsrooms are white, and they're just gonna be like, oh yeah, you know what, this person used to be a child who was bullied, so we're gonna feel sorry for him, because that's the latest thing that they've come out. I think it's Daily Mail. They've said, you know, he was going through some tough times. He was bullied as a child. Anyone can get bullied as a child, you know.
I saw on Sky News that they even blurred his face as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a bit mad how the way that white people protect white killers. I think that's a bit wild, to be fair with you. Whereas with black people, they'll name and shame you. They'll mention about the last girl you text. They'll mention about the last restaurant you ate food from, the text you had, your Instagram, even deleted photos that you had on there. They'll just mention any and everything. So I think, yeah, it's a bit wild. It's very, very contradicting, to be honest with you.
I think the dangerous game you've got, with it, with the way that the media are with white people, when they do these acts of atrocity, there's a guy, Anders Breivik, if you remember, in Norway. He did one of the biggest mass killings of a school. Did so many, and this guy in New Zealand that's been caught had like on his computer and shit like loads of files about Anders Breivik and about this serial killer and about all these other serial killers. So when they humanize these people, in a way you kind of make the other people that are trying to have that idea to lust after that same infamy and that same kind of level of legend amongst that community of people. So I feel what they're doing now with the court case with this guy's face all covered, everyone's saying, no, his face shouldn't be blurred, his face should be out there and all that. No, his face should be blurred. Don't give these men the props they want. They want to be in court and sit there and go to a long trial to then spout their bullshit. The Don's doing that in the case. Do you know what I'm saying? He's doing that, which is like a white supremacy sign. He's not remorseful whatsoever. So you got to make sure you clamp down on them. And I feel the humanizing of it is bullshit. I think as soon as they do something like that, they should be hung up to dry and tie their feet to the back of a truck and drive the truck around the M5. But, you know, that's just how I would deal with it.
I think that just shows the institution of racism at its finest, because that literally makes no sense. How you would just change the storyline to like make us try and sympathize with this person that has committed like horrendous acts.
Heinous. It's mad. I mean, it goes into the way the media handle racism goes on to extend why racism goes on to exist. Because when you breed a culture in which people can commit terrible acts, like we're saying, atrocious acts, and they then be infantilized, like with the word boy, gorgeous boy, be told, be given a sub-story, be told, they were wrong and right for these reasons. That's where you breed a culture in which these very same people don't really believe they can be wrong.
Or do anything bad.
Yeah, and then when you tell them, oh, this is wrong, or maybe this is a different perspective, you should try a different thing, they're thinking, well, like when I read the newspapers and I turn on the news, it doesn't, like, it says I'm kind of a good person. It actually says you lot are criminals.
Yeah.
It actually says you lot are terrorists. It actually says you lot are the ones bringing us harm. You lot are taking our jobs, taking our, like, all of us. And this is the culture that kind of allows them to, A, be incensed and angered and then move on to violent acts. Like, it's crazy because people are talking about the way people are brainwashed and conditioned into terrorism through Islam, through extremist views, all of this stuff. The actual newspapers and TV shows and like all of this stuff is contributing
to it as well.
To white terrorism.
They justify it like it's right. They justify it all like as if it's reasonable. It's a reasonable is a reasonable act. You know, it's because of this. That's why this has happened.
It's a form of indoctrination as well, because it's like you're subtly brainwashing the people who are reading your newspapers or your like magazine articles or whatever, and it can go back to like little children who are reading this. If they're seeing that all these black guys are like they're the bad people, they're gonna start to believe it by like the words that you're putting out there. And if these white people are just like ill and confused, then they're gonna start to think that, you know, white people are more trustworthy, and then you can't trust a black person anymore. You can't trust Asian people, and that's where all the phobias come from.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like that's how, if you're trying to say that all like Muslim people, they're the ones that are the terrorists, they're the ones that you should be scared of. That's how people are gonna be like, oh my god, yeah, if they're gonna shoot me or they're gonna bomb me, and then you're just gonna have to start thinking prejudiciously.
Yeah, and
that's when it gets really, really dangerous, especially when young people are reading these magazines and stuff.
I agree with everything you just said, basically, in a nutshell.
I don't like nuts.
I do. What's your favourite nut? Oh, my God. Never mind.
Inverted commas. I don't even know why. I don't even know why we're segregating terrorism now.
Yeah,
like all
it's
terrorism is
all,
terrorism.
yeah.
I don't care what colour you are. Like if you're a terrorist, you're a terrorist. Like stop killing people.
It's true, and it's not fair that they like trying to assign it to a religion or a race, but then when it's someone of the Caucasian complexion, it's nothing horrendous. Like they try and overshadow what this person has done by like, oh, the boy that used to sing in the choir went through this, and it's not cool at all, and it's not fair.
They gave him a sob story like it's X Factor, you know. Like a lot of people have cancer, you know. They don't get up and they shoot up places. 50 people, like,
innocent people that are praying. Like it's not cool at all.
But they barely mentioned I believe the youngest victim was like 3 or 4 years old. You haven't.
Yeah, and if it was the other way around, we would be hearing, if it was like in a Catholic church, the small, it would just be a whole different narrative, and it's disgusting.
Scary.
And an ignorant mind will then assume that radicalization is promoted and pushed within their faiths, their specific faiths or their specific backgrounds or things like that. And I just find it so weird. It's like I said earlier, it's just the way that they keep on protecting these white killers and justifying these things, you know, putting up pictures of them, whether they may be when they were kids or if they had graduated or things like that. Why are you humanizing this person that they're a cold-hearted killer? That's exactly what they are, a cold-hearted killer. You can't justify these type of things. Simple as that. Because if we're going to start doing this, then we need to start doing this for all types of killers.
Exactly.
For anyone who's done a form of an act of terror. Like you have to take this whole act on this treatment on all of them. I just think it's trash, to be fair with you. This whole agenda, I'm not trying to push. Like the guy's a terrorist.
The newsrooms just need to say it what it is as well.
Yeah,
like
stop tap dancing around the situation. Just get to the point. The guy's a terrorist. Like funny enough, actually, out of all the tabloids that actually pushed that word, out of them all was The Sun that actually used the word to describe him as a terrorist, which surprised me, as trash as The Sun is, you know, that they use that word. So yeah, kudos to them, but at the same time, bun them, just bun all these tabloids.
Did you see Sky News?
Oh well,
it's like terrorists. They couldn't put that word in, not once. Did they
all
name
of
him
these,
terrorist?
all these news outlets and entities are just scared. They're scared, and it's just. A terrorist is a safe word to use amongst ethnic minorities. I think it just comes back to, again, the actual definition of it and thinking of pushing a political agenda. And because this guy probably wasn't, you know, he's just a sick guy. They tried to justify it, and nah, man, the guy's a bastard.
I think it's wrong because one publication even used, they described him. They said, oh, you know, he was a white man with blonde hair and blue eyes.
What does that mean?
That's a good question, actually. I feel like they target religious type of places because what they believe in, whatever they believe in, is obviously different to another religion. So I feel like they feel in their head it's better to get rid of that, whatever that is, either being Islamic, any sort of religion. I feel like they just think that is better to just get rid of. I don't know. I don't actually know.
It's delusion, man. They really think it's us and them. They really think it's war. They think that every Muslim is a terrorist. When if you look statistically, there's 1.8 billion Muslims in the world. There's only 80 to 100,000 people in ISIS.
Why do you know all of this stuff?
I do my research, B. And at the end of the day, that just shows you the maths of these
so
idiot
clever.
people.
I'm just here.
And I think that, you know, they're just idiots. They think if they take out whatever, they're just stupid racists. Really, I don't even no. There's not really a lot of brain cells in there to really figure out with them. They're just idiots. They think if I kill all the Muslim guys because they're gonna kill us, and it's such a backwards mentality. But at the end of the day, these white people, they get the same way you see the media doing all this shit. The media indoctrinates these white people to genuinely believe it, and it's so sad to see there's genuinely white people out there that are not in these communities like we're in, that are out there in the sticks somewhere, where they've never met a Muslim person, never met a black person, and they've got all of these stereotypes built up in their head because they've never come across it. So it's just a fear mongering. Like it's crazy. I know white people where they will say some ignorant ass shit because they don't know no better, and it's just based on what the media say of this whole ISIS, jihadi join and all this bullshit, neighbor jihadi next door and all this crap. Like got everyone thinking the Muslim next door is setting off a gas bomb ready to go.
I don't really know why.
Extremity, I think, is to do with the more extreme place. There's a theory that a lot of people who are terrorists do it. If you're a religious terrorist, you do it in a theory that you'll be rewarded later in life, which is ridiculous. No matter what religion you follow, unless it's Satanism, every religion says that if you commit murder, if you take life,
It's a sin.
it's a sin. Yeah, like it's always a sin. So I don't understand where that comes from.
People like to do things in the name of a God, but your God didn't say that, so
Bro,
why are you doing it?
you'll get to heaven's gates and you'll be like, yeah, I did that for you, bro. God will be good. You'll be like, nah, bro, I didn't tell you to do that one. Still,
Honestly, especially like a lot of these far right like terrorists, and they would like be the Bible and all that stuff, and I'm just like, hang on.
Have you read the rest
wrong
of
one?
it?
Yeah, honestly,
like,
maybe I'm reading a different book to you because it doesn't say
there
that.
must be different versions, King James version and just for white terrorists version.
Because that's the white people did base slavery on the Bible. Just tried to use the Bible as a way to defend it.
Boy. But I feel like, when people attack these places, their aim is to, if you're not religious, is to, like when you look at Dylan Roof, it's to live forever, to have your name spoken about. Like, wow.
Is he shut up the Charlotte church, didn't he?
Yeah. The mainly all black church actually, in America, and it was like, I'll be infamous. People remember my name forever. This is a heinous crime. I'll be the guy that did this, and everyone will look at me as some sort of urban legend.
And I think they're trying to justify as well, because like, you know, the media will say that, oh, this Islam terrorist group is doing these things, and now people feel like maybe, oh, this is our redemption to go into a mosque and start shooting up a place. But that is still no correlation, because many of these people, as they say, Islam is a very peaceful religion.
I think the reason being that they target places of worship and religious people is because a religious person, in the eyes of a non-believer and in the eyes of an atheist, they assume that you're vulnerable and you're weak. So because you're religious, it means you're not in the act of retaliation. You're not really as provoking.
I think it's just a fear as well. Like they're scared of something.
And
they're scared of something to do with like religion and like the higher powers, because why would you go to like a mosque where someone's... I mean, you can't really answer this question because obviously you wouldn't, I would hope not do it. Yeah. But like go to somewhere where, you know, people are just worshipping who they worship, their God or whatever. Whether it's a mosque or a church, like at the end of the day, like these are all just human beings. And like people lost their lives just to stupidness. Like it's not necessary. I don't think it's ever necessary. I don't think it's ever right to just go around shooting people, whether they're in a church or they're in a park or they're in anything. I don't really know why that they would target these places of worship, apart from the fact that they must be scared of something.
Yeah, I think definitely is that fair because of... do you know what? I think I do agree with you on that, but I also just think they just see it as they're weak. They just think or assume that they're weak because let's say, for example, with Christianity, you believe in turn the other cheek. If someone strikes you on your right cheek, turn to the left. You know, they'll take advantage of that and think, well, you can't retaliate, you can't be violent. If I kill you, it's just like, well, you just have to take it. Or if I hurt you, you just have to take it.
Yeah.
That's how they'll see it as. I think it's just taking advantage of that, and also I think as well it's just ignorance.
Yeah.
It's bullshit.
This is kind of off topic, but on topic. So I was DJing the other day, and some guy, he was a white man, he was saying, can you play some hip hop or whatever? And I was like, yeah, that's fine, I can play it later. And he was like, yeah, man. I was like, excuse me, in my head. But he said it in a patois accent. I was like, you talking to me? Like, what? And then he walked off. I was like, wow, that definitely just happened. But they think, because they're ignorant, not they are or ignorant, but some can be ignorant. They just feel like every type of person, like stereotype,
they can bang it. I mean, my boy went to university in Plymouth, and he was like one black person in the whole of Plymouth, and everyone was saying the N-word to him. Like, it was normal, like they could just say it. Like they heard rap music, they're like boom, 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 boom.
How rude.
Obviously, I don't know, man. White people's confused, man. I don't know.
Are you confused?
Fix your shit. I'm not confused. I'm this is the first time I'm gonna say it. If you go back to last series, I had a problem with this word. I'm woke. You know me? But I'm not woke.
You're clever though. I do rate it.
I understand it.
So
yeah, we need to wipe that narrative from the media, the religion of violence, or what's the phrase they use? Or it's like a religion of the sword. But no, it's not. Like, it's actually not.
That's
like
true.
all these Abrahamic religions, the top three, they're like fairly similar in context, right?
They all connect.
They all preach peace. Like they all preach peace. So by saying this in media, like, oh, it's the violent religion, all this. You're telling people, right, the only way you can solve it is if you're more violent than first. It stems back to the way we view these things.
And that's again something that the media does. They're the ones that are painting these pictures, and once you perpetuate something like this, all people have to do is take it and run with it, and they have their own ideologies.
People are easily led, you know.
They are.
I think it's pure ignorance as well, you know, to target a religion and attack the believers of that doesn't make any sense. And we're now going to go around and start killing a whole bunch of atheist people because they don't have no belief, or, you know, it's weird. It's weird to me. It's very, very weird to me.
It's weird to me as well. Like, I don't really understand it. It's like these 49 people that did absolutely nothing to you, but because they're Muslim, that's why you want to take their lives.
Yeah.
They've done nothing to you. Like, you don't know any of these people, but you'd happily just go in their place of worship and kill them. It's very calculated.
It's actually,
really
it's
sad,
sick.
like,
It's actually sick, to be fair with you, to wake up in the morning and say, I am going to target a whole heap of Muslim. No.
And like, this is not something that you wake up in the morning and do. Like, this is planned as well.
It's premeditated. It's definitely
he's planned
premeditated.
it, so he's known about this for such a long time.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, he's ticking off the days. Yes, counting them down. Yeah. Today's the day, and then he actually went and did it.
Do you know what? The more and more we talk about it, the more I'm just starting to deep it and think this guy's actually mad.
What, like sick?
Yeah.
Not really, because the whole Western world is catered for the white man.
Yep.
So it's a thing where they never feel like they need to do it. I think the only way you could do it is by force, and I don't see the people in power to make them forcibly do it. I mean, the president of the most powerful country in the world is racist. Don't get me started on the prime minister here, but it's, I don't know, man.
I feel like it's all ingrained.
Find a way to do it.
Like,
London don't really have as much of a problem. There's still racism in London. Don't get me wrong. Like,
yeah.
I feel that racism in London can be worse than racism outside, because the people that have still kept them firm beliefs, despite the multiculturalism around them, them man are holding strong on that shit. So they're probably a bit more dangerous and a bit more high risk. But no, I don't know how you can fix that, to be honest.
I don't think we'll ever fix it.
Call them terrorists. Don't give them fame. Call them terrorists. Blur their faces. Don't even let their name be out there. Just bag them, put them there, shoot them, and then they know not to do it again. And then you're gonna think about it before you go shoot up a mosque. You're gonna die as well.
Well, statistically, if we look at history first, I'm more likely to go outside and be killed by a white person. If we look at like today's day and age and just the majority race, like where we live in the West, I'm more likely to go outside and be killed by a white person. If we look at just general patterns of the amount of terrorist attacks that are completed by what race, and violent acts, and even if you surprisingly look at knife crime statistics for the United Kingdom, I'm more likely to go outside and be killed by a white person. So, on my life, I don't really get Islamophobia. I don't understand it, because the chances of me being killed by Islam extremist terrorism are much lower than most other things. Like most other things.
Yeah, that's actually true.
Islamophobia is probably the world's biggest irrational fear. Because they're the second biggest religion. They're like 3.5 billion of them, right? That's like half the world. If they wanted to kill us all, they would have done it. Like, it's not.
You can't summarize a whole religion based off of a small, very, very small radicalized group.
Never justifiable.
You can never justify it. You know, ISIS is actually the movement, to be fair with you, compared to how it was very prominent in the last few years. It's died down of recent. They're not considered a threat per se.
But it doesn't really matter if they were considered a threat now or if they're considered a threat 10 years ago. It's still completely like invalid.
Yeah, it's just so void for you to just try and justify it by just one radicalized group. Nah. You can't try and push that agenda in any way.
ISIS are extremists.
Yeah.
Like, do you get me? And, you know, their faith is one thing, but they're just normal Muslim people that go around like doing whatever they need to do in life.
Just living life.
Getting by, worshipping. Why would you then just go and like put both of them people in the same bubble because
it doesn't make no sense. Yeah,
because they both follow the same religion.
Target them if you really want to start fighting. Like, go and fight ISIS directly. Don't try and start targeting innocent people, innocent civilians. It doesn't make no sense. That's
it doesn't
an act
do
of
anything
terror
as well. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah, that's an act of terror. Is that they're harming civilians and innocent people that are just not involved in any sense. Nah, man. Yeah. The guy's a dickhead.
It's true.
They could be slick about it. I think it's the weirdest thing, and I also feel like every millennium, no, not even millennium, sorry, that's too big a gap, century, there's a scapegoat, right? So like, at some stage it was black people, and then at some stage, at the turn of last century, they tried to blame Jewish people for everything. Anti-Semitism was a massive problem. At the turn of the last century, way past the Second World War, right? There's always a scapegoat who people are like, this is why things are wrong, we need to blame this person, we need to eradicate these people to live well. And it's just a lie that the higher ups tell us because they don't want us all to exist in harmony. Because if we do, we're going to start thinking, hey, how come we pay for everyone else to live a better lifestyle when really and truly we could all make the same amount? It's all one big distraction. Islamophobia
it definitely is.
Shit. Due to being white, I can't lie. I pick up the white privilege card every now and then. I can't even lie to you. It's just part of my arsenal if I need it. Like, but it's understanding the world I'm in though. Like, I'll get pulled over in the car for speeding, and I know for a fact I should be getting some points here. Like, I'm sitting there thinking, fuck. I've got my two friends in the car, both black. I'm thinking, yo, Kwesi was there. Me and Kwesi jumped out of my car and ran over to the police. Like, I was like, I'm not even waiting for them to come to me. I ran over and was like, yo, officer, I just need to shit, man. I was going at 70 miles an hour on the opposite side of the road at 4 a.m. and I drove straight past police at 70 miles an hour. And they pulled me and I was like, I need to shit, man. And they let me go. No problem. If that was my boy, I know for a fact he's getting taken to the station, the car getting taken, he's losing his license, probably going to jail. Boy, it is what it is, isn't it? It's one of them things. I can't. It's not that I asked them to allow me. They just did it. So I'm not here. When I say I pick it up, I don't actively do that. But, you know, it just happens that I realize, wait, in this situation, you know, you can see there's ignorance, man.